In the golden age of myths, gods still watched the mortal world with eyes full of curiosity and wonder. Some stories spoke of war and storms, while others told of trickery and trials beneath the sky. Yet not all myths were carved from chaos. Some were softer, quieter, shaped by beauty and destiny. Tonight, we turn to one such tale, one not of conquest, but of honor and gentle transformation. It is the story of Ganymede, a youth of Troy, whose beauty caught the gaze of Olympus. From green hills where he tended his flocks, his path would lead to the shining halls of gods. His journey was not built on blood or battle, but on wonder, love, and eternal remembrance. Imagine a clear night in Troy, the air cool, the shepherd boy gazing at a starry sky. Unaware, he is being watched in return as divine eyes follow his every graceful movement. This is where our story begins, where mortal grace rises to meet a destiny among the stars. In the ancient land of Troy, long before heroes clashed and songs of war were sung, lived a boy whose name would echo forever. His name was Ganymede, son of King Tros, heir not to armies or battles, but to a beauty so radiant it stirred mortals and gods alike. Troy was already a city of legend, its towers tall as mountains, its fields golden with harvest, its walls strong as stone and time itself. Among its riches, none shone brighter than the boy who walked its hills, a youth whose presence seemed touched by the very light of heaven. Wherever he went, whispers followed, soft as the breeze, as though the world itself paused in awe of his grace and quiet radiance. Yet beauty alone did not define him, for his heart was humble and his soul was gentle, a rare gift in a prince. Though son of a king, he chose the open fields instead of marble halls, tending flocks with joy beneath the wide sky. His laughter carried on the wind, light and free, and his footsteps left no mark upon the grass that welcomed him daily. The people loved him not for his crown, but for his kindness, for he carried burdens, shared laughter, and guided lost creatures home. He asked for no praise, for joy came not from glory, but from the simple gift of giving and belonging to the earth. But the heavens noticed what mortals adored, and the eyes of Olympus turned, sharper than eagles, toward the boy in Troy's fields. At first, he was only a spark among countless souls, but the spark grew brighter until no god could look away. Among shepherds, he was fair, among princes radiant, and among mortals without rival, a beauty unlike any the world had known. Legends whispered that flowers lifted their heads for him, rivers stilled to mirror him, and breezes softened to honor his passing. True or not, no one denied the sense of grace that surrounded him, a destiny too large for a life bound to earth. His father cherished him dearly, yet even the king knew his son's beauty was not his alone, but a gift to the world. At feasts, nobles and strangers alike would whisper, "Surely the gods will notice, not in fear, but with awe and reverence." For in those days, the line between mortal and divine was thin, and a life touched by gods was not impossible. Still, Ganymede remained unaware, living as any shepherd might, gazing at stars, dreaming simple dreams beneath the night sky. Yet fate had already begun to weave his story, a thread rising slowly from earth, winding upward toward Olympus. For now, Troy knew him as their prince, their shepherd, their joy, unaware his destiny would one day shine in the heavens. In those early days, he was only Ganymede, a boy of laughter, kindness, and grace, waiting unknowingly at the edge of eternity. And so the story begins not with thunder or battle, but with quiet beauty, a boy in the hills beneath the stars, unaware that the stars above, countless and bright, were already gazing back, watching, waiting, as his fate drew near. High above the mortal world, beyond clouds and silver skies, the gods of Olympus watched with endless curiosity and wonder. They were not distant rulers, cold and hidden, but beings who often turned their gaze toward the fleeting lives of mortals. And among countless souls below, one figure began to draw their eyes again and again, the shepherd prince of Troy, Ganymede. At first, they noticed him in passing, a glimmer on a hill, a laugh carried by the wind, a figure moving with rare grace. What began as simple curiosity soon deepened into awe, for his presence felt less mortal and more like light given human form. Aphrodite herself paused. Her teasing voice softened as she admitted the boy's beauty rivaled even the charm she cherished. Apollo admired his harmony with the world, how his laughter blended with the music of streams, birds, and golden rays of dawn. Even Hera, stern and watchful, though silent, could not deny the rare grace that seemed to shine from the shepherd of Troy. But none watched more intently than Zeus, who saw in Ganymede not just beauty, but a spirit touched with humility and light. For a king who had witnessed countless rulers and warriors, this quiet purity burned brighter than any crown or spear. Zeus's gaze followed the boy across the fields, watching his every gesture, from pouring water to laughing beneath the sky. The god of thunder felt moved not by power or grandeur, but by the gentle strength found in the boy's simplicity. The gods whispered among themselves, would Zeus act, or let this mortal fade with time, beauty lost to the years? For to bring a mortal into Olympus was no small choice. It was a decision that echoed across heaven and earth. Meanwhile, Ganymede lived unaware, his joy found in sheep, breezes, and stars. Never knowing divine eyes followed every step. The immortals saw more than beauty. They saw a spirit ready to stand among them without fear or arrogance. While kings chased power and warriors sought glory, here was a boy content with simplicity, shining in ways others could not. The thought rooted itself in Zeus's mind. This mortal should not wither in time, but be lifted into eternity. He imagined Ganymede in Olympus, not a prisoner, but an honored bearer of nectar, his laughter bright in golden halls. Yet doubts remained. Could mortal light endure the fire of immortality, or vanish like mist beneath the rising sun? Only time would answer, as whispers grew louder on Olympus, and Zeus's gaze lingered longest on the boy of Troy. Below, Ganymede still wandered the hills, laughing with the wind, dreaming beneath stars. Unaware fate had already begun to stir. The gods had noticed, and once the gods notice, no life, no matter how simple, is ever the same again. In the hills beyond Troy, the days of Ganymede unfolded in gentle rhythm, simple yet luminous. He was not a prince chasing crowns, but a shepherd finding joy among flocks and fields. Each morning he rose with the dawn, leading sheep and goats across dew-kissed grassy slopes. The air was cool, the light golden, and his voice carried softly, guiding the flock with ease. He drank from streams like silver ribbons, resting in meadows where clouds drifted above. He wove garlands of flowers, placing them on lambs, laughing as winds joined in his joy. Though son of King Tros, he chose freedom in hills, not banquets or the weight of duty. His beauty was whispered about, yet he bore it lightly, never wielding it as power or pride. Unaware, he carried light within him, a grace that even gods could not look away from. On quiet afternoons, he played his reed flute, its soft music floating gently across valleys. Children gathered near, listening with wonder, their faces glowing in the warmth of his tunes. To them, the prince was no distant figure, but a friend sharing songs and fireside tales. In these moments, His soul shone clear content, not in conquest, but in the smallest wonders. He found joy in stars, rivers, and silence, weaving life into a tapestry of gentle grace. At night he lay beneath endless skies, whispering to stars, "Do you hear me when I speak?" Little did he know, those stars already listened, and the gods watched every step he took. His life was still mortal, simple, bound to Troy, yet already brushing eternity's hidden edge. Greatness was not in power or battle, but in the humble beauty of a shepherd prince. And so, destiny stirred, silent and patient, preparing to lift him from earth to Olympus. One evening, as the last light faded over Troy's hills, the world grew strangely still. The sheep rested, the stars stretched silver above, and Ganymede played his gentle flute. The air hushed, as if the earth itself paused, waiting for something unseen to arrive. Far above, Olympus stirred, for Zeus had spoken of the boy who captured his gaze. The gods whispered, and it was decided a messenger should be sent down quietly. Not thunder, not storm, but a presence graceful and swift, Hermes, the divine wanderer. With winged sandals he descended, silent as wind, appearing beside the shepherd boy. Startled, Ganymede looked up, sensing this man was no ordinary traveler of earth. Eyes gleamed with firelight, a smile holding both mischief and kindness beyond mortal measure. "Good evening, shepherd," Hermes said, his voice flowing smooth like water through stone. "You play with such joy." As though the stars leaned closer to listen, Ganymede lowered his flute, uncertain but unafraid, and softly asked, "Who are you?" Hermes laughed gently, a sound like bells dancing upon the cool night wind. "Names matter less than purpose. I came to see the boy who shines brighter than stars." Confused, Ganymede shook his head, saying, "Surely you mistake me for another soul. I am no brighter than a lamp's flame, no greater than a shepherd's song." But Hermes smiled. "Even lamps chase darkness. You carry light both earthly and divine. My king has seen you, and he is moved by what you are, Ganymede." The boy's heart quickened. "Your king? Who speaks of me from so far away?" Hermes answered softly, "You will know soon. But gods do not look by chance." "Why me?" whispered Ganymede. "I am no warrior, no poet, no builder of cities." Hermes stepped closer, voice tender. "Sometimes the gods seek a heart untouched by pride. Sometimes they seek a spirit unburdened, and that is what you already are." Silence fell, heavy yet gentle, as Ganymede felt destiny stirring within him. Hermes placed a hand upon his shoulder. "Do not fear, boy. This is a beginning." And as swiftly as he came, Hermes vanished, leaving meadow and stars unchanged. Yet warmth lingered on his shoulder, proof the meeting had been no fleeting dream. Ganymede gazed upward, the constellation shimmering as though sharing a hidden secret. He did not yet understand, but he knew life would never again remain the same. That night beneath Troy's sky, a shepherd stood unknowingly at the edge of destiny. The night after Hermes' visit, Ganymede returned to his flocks, but the world felt altered. The stars glowed brighter. The air carried secrets, as though whispering truths only he could hear. He tried to forget, telling himself it was a vision, yet warmth lingered on his shoulder. Days passed, and though he played his flute, the melodies carried longing he could not name. He looked to the sky, searching the constellations, silent and restless beneath Troy's familiar hills. One evening, twilight burned gold and violet, and the meadow grew hushed once more. But this presence was greater, more powerful, filling the air with awe and wonder. Zeus appeared, radiant and commanding, his form shifting between man and God's brilliance. The shepherd dropped his flute, heart pounding, yet he felt a calmness steadying his fear. "Ganymede," Zeus spoke, his voice deep as thunder, warm as gentle summer rain. "You wonder why the stars listen, why the gods have turned their gaze toward you." The boy whispered, trembling, "I am only a shepherd, with no power beyond these hills." Zeus smiled, dawn-like. "And yet, it is your simplicity and kindness that draw us. In your heart lies truth, in your spirit a light that reflects the divine." He extended a hand, offering trust, not command. "Come, child of Troy, to Olympus. Be the cupbearer of the gods, companion at the eternal feast, servant of honor." The words washed over Ganymede, both wondrous and fearful, like a tide of destiny. He struggled. "Why not a warrior, or poet, or someone greater than me?" "Worth is not in crowns or victories," Zeus said. "It is in purity of spirit, and that is what you carry." Ganymede grace untouched by pride, beauty unburdened. The stars above shimmered brighter, as if calling, promising a place among them. Zeus's hand waited, steady and patient, a choice left wholly to Ganymede's heart. The boy looked at his meadow, his sheep, his flute, resting in the grass. Yet beyond the familiar lay the pull of something greater, a destiny unfolding. With trembling fingers, he placed his hand in Zeus's, warmth flooding his spirit. The world dimmed, the meadow fading, as another realm opened before him. Zeus smiled gently. "From this night onward, your story will live among the stars." And so Ganymede, the shepherd prince, accepted the invitation to Olympus. No longer bound to earth, he was chosen to walk with gods for eternity. The night sky stretched above Ganymede, vast and endless, inviting him into mysteries beyond mortal reach. He stood with Zeus, hand in hand, torn between fear of leaving and wonder of what awaited. The meadow of Troy dissolved slowly, fading into a haze of gold, as though dawn was rising without a Sunday. Zeus's voice calmed him. "You are crossing a threshold few glimpse, leaving behind the fleeting for eternal." Ganymede felt lightness in his body, as if Earth's weight was gone, replaced by a soaring spirit. The stars glowed closer, brighter, like lanterns hung across the heavens to guide his ascent. Winds carried him upward, not harsh but cradling, as if the sky itself welcomed his presence. Zeus remained steady beside him, radiant and calm, guiding him across the vast sea of night. Below, Troy grew small, its hills and rivers fading into memory, like pages turning in a book. Above, constellations revealed themselves as living fires, pulsing like hearts with eternal rhythm. He passed Orion's belt, stars gleaming like watchful sentinels guarding his path into the divine. He glimpsed the Milky Way, a river of silver light stretching across infinity's silent canvas. "Each star is a story," Zeus said. "And soon, Ganymede, your light too will join among them." Awe filled him, humility and wonder blending, as though the cosmos itself was listening to his heart. Then golden gates appeared, vast and radiant, woven of sunlight and divine will alone. Hermes stood waiting at the threshold, smiling warmly, as if greeting a friend long expected. "You made your choice," Hermes said. "Now you belong not only to Troy, but to eternity." The gates opened wide, releasing music of lyres and voices blending like waves of golden sound. Sweet scents filled the air, ambrosia like spring blossoms, and nectar richer than earthly fruit. Inside, Olympus glowed, mountains brighter than marble, skies forever painted in dawn's light. Rivers of silver flowed, gardens bloomed with flowers eternal, untouched by time or decay. Gods gathered in their splendor, Athena wise-eyed, Apollo radiant with music, Aphrodite smiling softly. Hera's regal gaze measured him, weighing his worth, while others watched with silent curiosity. Humbled, Ganymede bowed, his shepherd's heart trembling before such majesty. Zeus's hand steadied him. "Stand tall. You are not only servant, but honored guest among us." The hall of feasting opened, filled with long tables adorned with nectar and ambrosia. Every detail glowed, as though eternity itself was stitched into gold and crystal. Zeus led him forward, presenting him before gods eternal. "Behold Ganymede, cupbearer of Olympus." A murmur rose, not of scorn but awe, as the shepherd boy stood among the immortals. A golden goblet was placed before him, gleaming in his trembling hands like captured sunlight. This was his calling, not crowns or wars, but sacred service. Carrying grace into eternity, he lifted the cup, saw his reflection in the wine, and knew his life had been transformed. The meadow, the flute, the sheep, they were not lost, but carried within this new path. As he poured nectar, his spirit steadied, finding peace in the role the gods had given. Above, the stars shone brighter, as if singing for the shepherd who had ascended to Olympus. The gates of Olympus closed, yet Ganymede's heart raced with awe at the brilliance around him. Time flowed differently here, not with sunrises or shadows, but as a song that never ended. He was given his role, the cupbearer of the gods, holding a goblet gleaming with nectar. Each time he poured, his quiet grace filled the hall, more gift than simple service. Apollo strummed his lyre, music lifting the boy's spirit, each note shining like golden light. Athena observed him in silence, but her wise gaze offered guidance when words were few. Hermes teased him often, but beneath laughter there was respect for the courage he carried. Hera, regal and distant, studied him carefully, her doubt softening as she saw his sincerity. Among the gods, Ganymede felt small yet whole, as though he had always belonged here. He became a bridge, reminding gods of mortal hearts, carrying humanity into their eternal world. Aphrodite showed him gardens where roses never faded, whispering that beauty lived in kindness. Her words lingered with him, shaping how he saw both himself and those around him. He wandered Olympus, discovering rivers that sang and skies glowing with eternal dawn. At night, he lay on marble terraces, watching constellations drift, brighter than ever before. He thought of Troy, his father and brothers, yet his love turned peaceful, never lost. In his heart, he carried both worlds, the mortal life and his new divine calling. Zeus spoke with him often, not as ruler to servant, but as one who cherished him. "You remind us," Zeus said, "that greatness lies not in thunder, but in simplicity." These words humbled Ganymede, yet gave him strength and purpose among the gods. Despite Olympus's radiance, the boy's essence never changed. He found joy in small wonders. The gods too learned from him, though they never said it aloud, cherishing his laughter and kindness. Thus, he lived not as a mortal lost to time, but as a light eternal. Ganymede, the shepherd boy, chosen not for power, but for a soul carrying grace. The cup of the gods shimmered like starlight, its surface alive with colors of dawn and twilight. To hold it was to feel both warmth and coolness, as if the seasons danced in your palms. Now it was Ganymede's sacred duty to carry this vessel and pour for the immortals of Olympus. In the golden hall, gods reclined on couches, their laughter echoing like music through marble walls. But all eyes turned to the boy, moving with grace, his hands steady, the cup never trembling. The vessel carried not wine or water, but ambrosia, the radiant essence of life eternal. One sip renewed strength, brightened spirit, and restored the flame of the deathless gods. When Ganymede poured, the air softened, the nectar glowed brighter, the hall itself seemed alive. Even Hera, though jealous, could not deny that his touch made the cup burn like liquid fire. Whispers spread that he bore a gift, something beyond Zeus's favor, a harmony all his own. Through him, a ritual became wonder, and a simple act became sacred bond among the gods. Apollo told him, "You weave light into us, reminding us of the world we forget." Ganymede blushed, but in his heart, he carried the warmth of Apollo's truth forever. Perhaps the true power of the cup was not ambrosia, but the spirit of the one who poured. For gods numb to eternity, Ganymede made forever feel new again, like water after drought. On earth, poets sang of him, and sailors prayed under his stars for safe passage. Shepherds whispered his name, proud that one of their own now walked among the immortals. Yet Ganymede remained humble, still the boy who once watched over sheep under Troy's vast sky. With every step in Olympus, he grew into his role, cupbearer, light-bringer, beloved of gods. The cup was never Zeus's alone. It became a symbol of connection, mortal to divine. When Ganymede poured, he gave more than ambrosia. He gave his heart, his youth, his wonder. Through him, Olympus remembered joy, and eternity itself grew brighter with each offering. Now his memory shines in the sky, as Aquarius pouring streams of starlight into night. The shepherd of Troy became the bearer of immortality, a bridge between earth and eternity. And like the cup he held, his story flows forever pure, radiant, and never running dry. In Olympus, not every gaze upon Ganymede was kind, for Hera's heart burned with unease. Hera, queen of the gods, guardian of vows, was majestic in gold and peacock feathers. Yet her pride was pierced by Zeus's choice, for his favor toward the boy stung deeply. To see Ganymede honored as cupbearer, lifted into immortality, was a wound she could not ignore. Each time he poured nectar, her eyes followed, her thoughts swirling like storms over the sea. "Why him?" she asked in silence. "Why exalt a mortal above goddesses and queens?" It was more than jealousy of beauty. It was fear of blurred lines between gods and men. Mortals belonged below, immortals above, yet here stood a boy breaking the sacred boundary. The gods noticed her unrest, though most remained silent beneath her sharp, watchful gaze. Athena observed with wisdom, Aphrodite with a knowing smile, each sensing the storm within Hera. Zeus dismissed it, seeing only joy in Ganymede, blind to the shadows of his choice. At last Hera spoke, her voice sharp as bronze, echoing through marble halls of Olympus. "Must we bow to this boy? Has Olympus no honor but to crown a mortal?" Silence followed, gods uneasy, eyes shifting between the queen and trembling boy with the cup. Ganymede spoke no word. His silence was humility, not defiance, born from knowing his place. Yet Hera's challenge lingered heavy in the air, a storm cloud refusing to pass. Some feared she might curse him. Others whispered she would drive him from Olympus itself. But no punishment came. Instead, Hera withdrew, her heart still burning, her eyes turned skyward. There she saw Aquarius, Ganymede among the stars, pouring streams of light into eternity. Even in the heavens, she could not escape him, etched forever in the tapestry of night. Her jealousy was not just anger but sorrow, loneliness, the pain of being overshadowed. This wound was deeper than flesh, for Zeus had given a mortal boy an immortal crown. Still, Hera knew Ganymede was innocent, caught in divine games far beyond his will. Her quarrel was with Zeus, not the shepherd boy who carried Olympus's shining cup. So her jealousy lingered, silent and watchful. shaping the tale of Ganymede forevermore. Even in golden halls, where gods drank ambrosia, jealousy found its unshakable place. In Hera's heart, his story was not wonder, but loss, a wound without healing. Yet jealousy, though sharp, brings reflection, and even gods may learn humility in its shadow. And thus, the tale of Ganymede moved forward, carrying both wonder and sorrow in equal measure. Ganymede's story did not fade into silence. It rose to the sky, where stars remember longer than stone. The gods, though divided, agreed on one truth. Ganymede's name would never be forgotten. Zeus lifted his image into the heavens, a constellation pouring water for all eternity. Aquarius was more than a pattern of stars. It was a story told across generations. Shepherds pointed to the shape, whispering proudly, "That was one of us, a mortal boy." To sailors, Aquarius became a guardian, pouring calm into seas restless with storm. To poets, he was beauty eternal, youth captured in starlight, immortal inspiration for verse. Even the gods looked upward, some recalling pride, others grief, yet all sensing his legacy. Ganymede softened Olympus, reminding immortals of laughter, breath, and the fleeting beauty of life. He belonged to both earth and sky, not as a conqueror, but as a humble shepherd. Chosen for grace, remembered for kindness, he carried light in every step he took. Children asked their parents about the boy of stars who poured streams of shining water. Every retelling made his story less about power, more about love and quiet humility. Even Hera, once jealous, came to see that his presence gave mortals hope in gods. And perhaps, in stillness, she too gazed upward, feeling the gentleness of his eternal glow. Zeus knew he had given more than immortality. He had created a bridge to humanity. Through Ganymede, Olympus was less distant, touched by wonder, alive with mortal memory. No longer among sheep, he walked among stars, pouring light into endless night. The boy of Troy became eternal, not by conquest, but through constellations shining forever. When you see Aquarius, remember, greatness lies not in thunder, but in quiet kindness. The shepherd who once carried water now pours light for the whole world to see. That is his legacy among the stars, a boy made more than myth, shining forever.